Coming up on today's show, Tesla Q3 financials, so Tesla's making a profit and breaking records. The Bollinger B1 and B2 get priced at $125,000 each, and the BMW i3 gets to live on with a new, longer-range battery pack. These stories and more coming next. Welcome to another roundup in the world of cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transportation. With the Tokyo Motor Show in full swing right now and the LA Auto Show just weeks away, there's a lot of great news to tell you about today. But before I do, I'd just like to thank the Electric Auto Association for sponsoring today's show. Find out how you can accelerate the electrification of transportation today at electricauto.org. We are starting today with Tesla's quarterly financials that were released mid-week. And as we already knew, Tesla managed to break its production and delivery records, with the Model 3 continuing to grow in its overall market share. Tesla finished the third quarter with a profit of $1.91 per share using the non-GAAP method, or if you prefer, a profit of 80 cents per share using the GAAP method. The report pushed Tesla's value up by over 17% in less than a day, and, not for the first time in history, made Tesla worth more than General Motors. It was a Tokyo Motor Show this week, and we saw quite a few electric and electrified vehicles making their world debut there. Among them was the Nissan Ariya concept electric SUV, which is likely to become Nissan's long-promised new 2021 plug-in. With dual motors giving all-wheel drive, there are few details in terms of specifications, but Nissan has confirmed ProPilot 2 and vehicle-to-grid capabilities. Rumours suggest that the vehicle will have a range of around 480 kilometres per charge. With just over 3 weeks to go until the LA Auto Show, plenty of automakers are starting to gear up and drop hints about what we can expect there. Ford is among them, and this week it released another teaser video of its upcoming Mustang-inspired electric SUV. While we don't know for sure what the name of that vehicle is going to be, we think it's going to be called the Mach-E, and what we know thus far suggests it's a high-performance, full-size electric SUV with a range in excess of 600 kilometers per charge. We have been invited to the official launch event, so we'll be bringing you first-hand coverage when we can. Bollinger caused quite a stir this week when it announced the pricing of its B1 and B2 electric SUV and pickup truck. With 120 kilowatt-hours of power on board, the ultra-utilitarian trucks are pretty bare when it comes to creature comforts, so many fans had expected a 5-digit sticker price. So when Bollinger announced an MSRP of $125,000, it did catch some people unawares. Deliveries are due to start in 2021. In addition to its new Ariya concept SUV, Nissan used the Tokyo Motor Show this week to reveal a prototype all-wheel drive Nissan Leaf. Fitted with 2 electric motors, one for each axle, the all-wheel drive Leaf puts out 501 pound-feet of torque and more than 304 horsepower. Sadly, it's unlikely to make it into production, but I'm not going to be at all surprised if this engineering prototype is actually a test mule for the drivetrain that Nissan is going to use in its upcoming Ariya SUV. Tesla's quarterly earnings report may have shown some fantastic financials, but that wasn't all we learned from the shiny new report produced to showcase those figures. Inside Tesla's report, it confirmed that it's already ahead of schedule with the Model Y and aims to have it into production by the middle of next year. Alongside this fantastic news, Tesla said it's on the lookout for a European Gigafactory site to join the Chinese one in making Model 3s and Model Ys, while it's also looking for new facilities in the US to produce the Tesla Semi, Roadster, and yet-to-be-revealed cyberpunk-esque pickup. Range increases are also promised in the near future from software improvements rather than new battery technology. Mazda revealed its first production electric car in the form of the MX-30 at this week's Tokyo Motor Show, looking a little like the CX-5 but with 2 small suicide doors like the old RX-8. The MX-30 seats 5 and packs a 35.5 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. The battery has active liquid cooling. There's no official word on range yet. We've heard a rather unimpressive 200 kilometers of range being bandied about, but when we have more official numbers, we'll share. One interesting thing, Mazda has included both CHAdeMO and CCS DC charge ports on this car. VTOL electric air taxi company Lilium has just announced it successfully completed the first phase of its test flights, with one of its first prototype craft hitting airspeeds in excess of 100 kilometers per hour. The company says it's now expanding its production capacity and is on track to launch its first air taxi service in 2025. At the moment, all of the flights the 5-seat Lilium jet have taken part in, including hover tests, have been remote controlled, but the company says it will ultimately be bringing human pilots on board for future airworthiness testing. Lexus hasn't been all that keen on making electric cars to date, and has even engaged in some pretty blatant anti-EV advertising in its time. But at this week's Tokyo Motor Show, it presented its LF30 electrified concept. Powered by a 110 kilowatt-hour battery pack, its all-wheel drive quad-motor design promises a maximum range of 500 kilometers per charge and a 3.8 second sprint time. But this is most certainly a never-make-it-into-production concept, not a pre-production vehicle that's destined to become a car you can actually buy. Renault surprised us all this week by announcing that it's expanding its Kangoo and Master ZE commercial vehicle range to include plug-in hydrogen fuel cell hybrids. Identical to their battery electric siblings, these variants add a small fuel cell stack, 5 kilowatts in the Kangoo ZE and 10 kilowatts in the Master ZE, which expand the range of both vehicles to beyond 350 kilometers. They're being marketed at fleets where the majority of travel will be powered by the vehicle's onboard battery packs, charged overnight, but where hydrogen will act as a backup range extender when needed. And now it's time for short shorts. A Volocopter has completed its first piloted flight in a busy city, taking to the skies of Singapore in the latest in a long line of test flights. The company hopes to make Singapore the home of its first commercial operation in 2022. Famously, Tesla has never really spent a whole lot of money advertising its vehicles, relying instead on word of mouth and testimonies of fans and existing owners to get more people to buy its cars. Now it's formalised that arrangement, launching an owner-made video series on its website called Life with Model 3. The Hummer is about as far as you can get from a clean green vehicle, but it appears it could be coming back as an all-electric model. Yes, we already heard that rumour earlier this year, but now we've got more data to back that up. In the news that negotiations with the UAW last month to end industrial action used an electric Hummer as a bargaining chip. Watch this space. The Honda E electric city car may not be going on sale in the US anytime soon, but this week, the car's original project manager admitted that the tiny car was originally designed with US cities in mind. Apparently it changed its mind 3 years ago about that. I wonder why. Fully autonomous autopilot operation will be rolled out in an early access program to select Tesla customers later this year, with wider rollout due to take place next. Elon Musk made the announcement during Tesla's quarterly earnings call midweek, and it does seem to imply that Tesla is further ahead with regulations than we thought it was when it comes to autonomous driving. The UK government has announced that it intends to introduce green licence plates for all electric vehicles, something that it says will make it easier for parking wardens to identify which cars are electric or not for things like free parking and charging. There is a public consultation period, but this does appear to be a done deal. Swindon Powertrain, the company that's converting a limited production run of original Minis to electric, is planning to sell a crate motor for enthusiasts to convert their own cars to electric power. There's no announced price yet, but production will begin in June next year. Tesla is being sued by the family of a Model S owner who died of smoke inhalation following a crash in his Model S. While he sustained no injuries in the crash, he died because his car's doors wouldn't present themselves to first responders, trapping him inside. A brand new aluminium air battery has hit headlines in the UK, claiming a range of more than 1,500 miles per charge. The downside? The battery is more a fuel cell than a battery, as it can't be recharged and instead needs to be swapped out for a new one when it's empty. Fever, one of the oldest organisations for classic vehicles with more than 2 million members worldwide, has publicly stated that any classic car converted to electric is no longer historic. It argues that vehicles should be kept in their original form, but did say it's up to the individual as to if they should convert or not convert. After a very short hiatus, the Harley-Davidson Livewire is back in production. The pause in production was caused by a manufacturing issue, which the company now says appears to have affected just one example. It's commendable that the company was being so careful. Honda has officially sped up its strategy to electrify all of its mainstream models in Europe, setting a new target date of 2022 for that to happen. It stated that 6 electrified models will be coming to Europe in the next 3 years, but electrified is a whole term that can include non-plug-in cars as well as plug-ins. The Trump administration is yet again taking the state of California to court over emissions and clean vehicles. This time the emissions trading between it and Quebec. Trump's White House says the state has no right to conduct foreign policy. Every state I can think of, though, has worked with foreign entities thus far, so. Lexus says that its first production electric car will launch in November, with a plug-in hybrid variant coming soon after. While it's staying completely quiet on what we can expect, hints are that it'll be a tall, boxy hatchback, and I expect it will reveal in LA. Tesla has officially begun selling Chinese-made Model 3s on its website. Priced from the equivalent of around $50,000, the Chinese-made Model 3s will dramatically help Tesla's bottom line, as they can be sold without massive import duties on top. It's official. During testimony to the US House this week, a scientist who was working for Exxon Research and Engineering in the 1980s, yes, Exxon as in Exxon Oil, confirmed to Alexandria Ocassio Cortez that Exxon scientists told it that carbon dioxide levels would rise and cause global warming as a result of burning fossil fuels. And Exxon did nothing. TT0, the zero-emission race that's been a part of the annual Isle of Man TT motorcycle race series, has been dropped for the next 2 years. The reason? Apparently the cost of buying or building a race-ready electric bike being too cost-prohibitive for many of its riders. The race series will be back, however, in 2 years' time. The first Tesla Model 3, known to hit 100,000 miles, is doing just fine, and save for a few parts that have needed to be replaced for reasons unrelated to the car's mileage, the owner reports being very happy with the car indeed. Interestingly, he has no charging at home, but says he rarely charges at over 60% at supercharging stations. And those are your shorts. There will be more next week. The BMW i3 is a car whose future has remained uncertain of late, and as you might remember from a few weeks ago, it looked like the car wouldn't see a second generation when it ends production of its current form. This week, we got some revision to that news, with BMW's new boss stating the i3 was a classic and that classics don't get successors in the standard classical industry manner. Instead, he hinted that the BMW i3 would be sticking around for the foreseeable future and would get a larger battery and maybe some tweaks to its powertrain too. It makes sense to keep the i3 around, and I made a video this week that you should totally check out explaining why. It's just there. And finally, I think it's fair to say that we all know driving an electric car is generally a lower stress experience than driving an internal combustion engine car, thanks to the quieter, smoother ride, instant torque, and just general nice feeling inside. Turns out rats agree, or rather, the rats at the University of Richmond, Virginia, trained to drive little electric cars. Studying stress hormones in the rat's poop, the researchers discovered that the rats, who they had trained to drive those little cars to go and get treats, were a lot lower stress when they could jump in their EV and go and get a nice snack. Obviously, there may be some Pavlovian responses there, but it's a cute story, right? And on that very quirky note, it's the end of this week's show. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to help us make more videos like this, please do like, comment and subscribe. Send us a couple of dollars our way every month through Patreon, feed our coffee habit with Ko-fi, or visit our swag store. Thanks also to the Electric Auto Association for sponsoring today's News Roundup show. Advocating and educating the world about electric vehicles since 1967, the Electric Auto Association believes that our future depends on going electric today. You can find out how to become an EV educator yourself, discover a local monthly meetup, or just talk to real-world EV owners about what it's like to drive on electrons by heading to electricauto.org. We're all members of the EAA and we are very proud to support this fantastic organisation. I'll be back next week with more great content for you all to enjoy, but until then, I hope you have a fantastic week ahead. Enjoy Halloween if you're taking part, and remember to be smarter, kinder, and better to one another. Keep evolving.